and welcome to NCBI Labs.
Hello everybody and welcome to the NCBI Labs live event. I'm Daniel Dunn, standing in for Jude Marr today, who has been given a well-deserved day off. So wherever you are, Jude, out there listening in on your annual leave break, I hope you're having a good one, and thanks for manning the ship all these episodes so far. So today on live event number 55, wow, it's hard to believe we're along to this number at this stage, but they do keep coming thick and fast every 2 weeks. We are going to be talking about the iOS 15 release, and we're going to also cover highlights from the Apple's California streaming event, and for that we have our regular guest at this stage, David Nason. You're very welcome, David. Thanks for joining us here today. And later in the show, our panelist, Joe Lonergan, will be along to talk about what's new in the NVDA version 2021.2. So we have an update there to the popular Windows screen reader software. And following on from that, we've got our usual bits of tech news and tech help. JP will be along to give us some of the tech news, just a couple of highlights from what's happening in the world of AT accessibility, and I will also take over for a few moments just to give our listeners an insight into the Chrome desktop reader, which is actually in experimental mode on Chrome since release 75, which is a while back now because we're up to Chrome 94 currently. So maybe Google will bring this feature mainstream. But I'll go through today with that feature just to show you what that's all about. Now, questions and comments from our listeners are most welcome. We have the Q&A panel here on the Microsoft Teams live event, so please do access that and pop your questions in there. Or alternatively, if you want to drop us an email, it's labs, L-A-B-S, at ncbi.ie. We've got members of our team in the background there monitoring those as they come through. So don't be afraid to take part and put a question to any of our panelists or guests. We'll be delighted to hear those from you. After that, then, we have nothing left to do, only to jump straight in, I suppose, and to welcome David Nason, who joins us again, and our panelist, Joe Lonergan, and JP Corcoran and Dennis Nolan are here as well, where we're going to start discussing some of the highlights from Apple's California streaming event. So what happened was we had the WWDC, the Worldwide Developers Conference, back there, I think in June, and a lot of the promises made by Apple on new things that they were bringing out have come to fruition there over the last couple of weeks or so. So we have new items coming to market, and we have new improvements to the software, which we'll be talking about in iOS 15 shortly. So if you just want to maybe bring in David there, welcome, David. Have we got David there? Sorry, just a technical glitch there. Hi, David.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you there now, loud and clear.
Couldn't find a mute button.
No problem. No problem. You're grand. So, David, tell us a little bit about the 14th of September event there that Apple had in California with their streaming event.
Yeah, sure. So it was, I suppose, the usual September event that we've come to know and love, where the iPhones primarily come out, and watches and things as well. And it was similar again this year. Why it was called California Streaming, I'm not sure, but it opened with a very strange little homage to the state of California, which I thought was interesting. But then got into the products with, really, it was iPhones, so a new set of iPhones for this year, new iPads and a new watch, and they were the three things. So I don't know what you want to delve into or in what order, but they were the big ones.
And I suppose the favorite, one of the most favorite devices out there is the iPhone, and we're along now to number 13 in the series.
Which was, there was a lot of speculation over that because it was an unlucky number in a lot of cultures and stuff. But they went with it. They went with 13.
Yeah, it's a wonder they didn't take a lead from the Irish government and just go with iPhone 131.
Yes.
And then
Well,
after
bit of an
Christmas, we
option.
have the 132. So with the iPhone 13, then, what are the major improvements? What what should we be looking out for? Is there anything exciting coming with this particular model?
For me now, I would have to say it was one of the less interesting years in terms of iPhone. I try not to be too critical because I don't think there's any expectation that you upgrade your iPhone every single year. And I think if you're on an iPhone 12, there wasn't much there, in my opinion. But if you're on a 11, a 10, an 8, whatever it might be, there may well be a lot there to think, okay, this is a good time to enough improvements have accumulated, but it was very incremental. So this year, so compared to say the iPhone 12, it's the same. They're basically the same shape and size and design, similar 4 models. So you have the Mini, which is the 5.4-inch one. You have the 13 and the 13 Pro, which are about 6.1 inch, and then you have the Pro Max, which is I think 6.7. I want to say inches, huge, big thing.
Wow.
All in very similar design to last year. The main differences are the Pro ones got better, not resolution, but better, I think, a Pro Motion, which is from 60 gigahertz up to now 120, or sorry, hertz, not gigahertz, hertz, which is a refresh rate. So if you have enough vision to appreciate such things, I'm told it's excellent and it looks great. Android phones have had it for quite some time now. So that's on the Pro ones. All of them have brighter screens this year, they say as well. So again, you may or may not notice it depending on your usable vision. And then bigger batteries would probably be the other thing. And obviously the new cameras is all every year. We're used to the camera upgrades, and they've been used cinematic mode for video and things like that. But probably for this audience, maybe the battery upgrade, you have 1.5 hours extra battery, they claim, in the Mini and the Pro, and then the regular 13 and the Pro Max, they say they have 2.5 extra hours battery. So that's probably the biggest difference that compared to last year.
That is excellent, David. Like when they say up to 2.5 hours there, and I suppose be aware of the up to, it probably comes down to exactly what you're using your phone for.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you have the screen on or not? Are you using I suppose things like GPS tend to suck a lot of battery if you're using a lot of navigation and stuff as well. I mean, I have the 12 Mini. I didn't see enough there to upgrade, but I will admit the one thing I don't like about my 12 Mini is battery anxiety. I just seem to have to constantly charge the thing. But apart from that, absolutely love the phone, the size of it and everything. So I can definitely see why, the Mini needed that boost. And I mean, the Max apparently already had amazing battery. You can nearly get 2 days out of the thing. So it's even better now. So
that's excellent. I suppose Bluetooth is another one that kind of hogs a bit of battery life too.
It can. I'm a bit skeptical on that myself. I have Bluetooth on all the time generally because it's always connecting in and out of my AirPods or keyboards or whatever. And I think modern Bluetooth isn't actually a huge battery drain, from what I understand anyway. A lot of stuff is done kind of with Bluetooth LE, like low energy. So I think that technology has come quite a long way. I don't think it's too much of a concern really anymore, to be honest.
Yeah. I remember in the old days it used to be, turn off your Bluetooth, to save the battery, get the extra hour a day of it. So it's good to hear.
Things like screen brightness and things would definitely have a big effect.
Yeah, definitely. It's great that these technologies, I suppose, are moving on, becoming more power efficient. While still becoming more powerful in what to do as well. So you're getting a two-way thing there where you're doing more with less.
Exactly.
It's a fair summarizing. There was mention, I think, about new AirPods, and I think a couple of people were expecting something new in the line of AirPods. Am I right in saying there hasn't been anything really announced, or did there something slip out there kind of under the radar?
No, there's been nothing on AirPods. There's been a lot of, like you say, of rumors and journalists and things saying that they're on the way. But the funny thing is, I think maybe the very first AirPods were announced at an event, but apparently all of the AirPods since then, even the Max, the overhead ones, none of them got announced at events. They just got kind of a press release. So between now and Christmas, we still may well see those released, but it won't necessarily be at an Apple event, you know what I mean? But then again, we are expecting one more event before Christmas as well, so could be. So there's still time for AirPods. The rumors are that they won't be new Pros. So we have the AirPod Pro, which are the ones with the noise cancellation. That the ones we're expecting are new AirPod, I guess regular, you know what I mean? So still with the more like that design of the Pros, where you with the clicker kind of thing on it, but just without the noise cancellation probably.
Okay. So something might get brought to market there before Christmas is probably a bit of hope casting rather than anything.
I'd say though it's a good time from Apple's point of view to release them because they're in that kind of Christmas present price range, I think. You know what I mean, for people to get. So I think that's partly maybe why there would be a desire to get them out by then, but they've been rumored for quite a while now.
Yeah. But then again, as we know, in the world of technology at the moment, there is a shortage of raw materials for building these devices, and that could be hampering baby efforts as well to get some things out. It might just leave them a little bit longer until world supplies correct themselves. Yeah,
very possibly.
Okay. Anything else on the iPhone 13, or do you think that is worth going over?
I suppose it's like I say, quite an incremental update. So now it has the A15 chip up from the A14. So again, whatever you're on now, I always, if you can buy the 13, then you'll get several years out of a 13 if you buy it now, that kind of way. So they get better every year. It's faster, it does, but it's essentially, just an incremental upgrade, I would say.
Yeah. But it's probably worth someone maybe who is, sitting on an iPhone 6, 7, or 8, maybe to take the leap.
Definitely.
But maybe
the 10s, 10s, 11, you might decide it really very individual how often people want to upgrade, I suppose. But I think from a 12, you'd have to be very, very committed to annual upgrades to see anything in here to upgrade from a 12. Maybe the battery thing if it's really bothering you. But I think anything older than that, I mean, you may find something, but the older ones, or the SE, some people might, a lot of people like the SE and the size of it, the size and shape of it. So you might think, well, a 13 mini, okay, it doesn't have the home button, so that's the big change, but it does have that kind of nice form factor. So the 13 mini might be a good upgrade there either.
So there's plenty of food for thought there, I suppose, as the Christmas season starts to come upon the horizon now. Some people might say,
and actually something to point out on that is they've kept the iPhone 12 range available at a reduced price. I think it's like €100 cheaper now, and you can buy the 12s. So that's certainly something to look at as well, because that's still a very solid, option to have there.
Okay. So plenty of food for thought there as Christmas approaches, and people might consider upgrading their phone at this point. I suppose some of the features we will get to talk about later on, like it'll kind of cross paths with the iOS 15 release. But there is new iPads. So how have you found from there? Is there much in the new iPad to be looking at?
For me, the iPad, well, actually more the iPad mini was probably the star of the show. So there's two iPads they announced. One was I suppose they call the entry level iPad, the regular one, and it still has like the kind of the older design and has the home button, but it's like the cheapest one. But it's to say cheap isn't to do with the service. It's a very good, solid iPad. It's the A13, so compared to iPhones, it's like the 2-year-old chip from kind of iPhones, I guess. But that's still a really good chip and especially if you're using an iPad for, for your kids, for gaming, anything like that, or just for, your email, your browsing, you're watching YouTube. It's a great option, still at a good price. If you don't want to stretch to the Air or the Pro, I think schools are using a lot of it as well. So I think it's a good upgrade. It is incremental again, but it's a good upgrade. The iPad Mini it's the first one in a few years that first time they've upgraded the Mini in a few years. And it's basically the same size and shape as it was before, but they've done that kind of edge-to-edge screen thing, and they've removed the home button. It's kind of like a mini iPad Air if you're familiar with the Air, but it's kind of like very similar to the iPhone kind of in design. It's got that kind of squared off edges, no home button on it. Like I say, it's all screen on the front. The Touch ID is in the power button, like in the iPad Air as well. And it's 8.3-inch screen in a very neat kind of light little body from what I've seen. I haven't got to see one in person, but it looks great. I have the iPad Air myself and I absolutely love it, and this is kind of, it seems like just a mini version of that. And maybe for totally blind people who want a second device, want an iPad, but maybe find the iPad screen a bit vast, the iPad mini could be a great option because it's kind of giving you the iPad experience with quite the huge screen. And it's great for portability, really, I guess.
It would, you know, at 8.3, like it would be handy enough to bring around on your person. Yeah, it sounds very good.
It works with the Pencil as well, the Apple Pencil 2, which magnetically sticks to the side of the iPad, which is kind of convenient as well, which people like. Yeah. So
that's it. That's excellent. There, review of that iPad Mini. I suppose just to wrap up on that, we've a new Apple Watch Series 7.
Series 7, yes. This was, for me personally, probably the least interesting. Apparently, basically what they've done, it's a slightly new design over the Series 6. And actually the Series 6, 4, 5, and 6, I think all have basically the same design, which were a 40mm and a 44mm. Now it's gone up to 41 and 45mm. So it's just a slightly bigger screen in pretty much the same size body. So they've done that kind of thing again, where they've just managed to stretch out the screen and reduce the borders a little bit and give you a bigger screen. It has it can have a keyboard on the screen now for typing messages and things like that. It doesn't have any kind of new sensors. It actually apparently has the same chip as last year as the Series 6. So the internals haven't upgraded much. It's really all about the bigger screen and a brighter screen. If you're able to see the screen visually, they have this always on screen option, so you can just kind of glance at without even lifting your wrist. That kind of screen is a bit brighter now, so people find that a bit easier to see maybe. So yeah, it's all about the screen, basically, the Apple, the 7, Series 7.
Dennis, if I can bring you in. Dennis, you're an Apple Watch user, and maybe it's an option that a lot of our listeners haven't maybe considered or delved into much, as an accessory for for their iPhone in some cases. You're a user of the Apple Watch, and how do you find them? Are they worth it?
Yeah, I like them, Daniel, and thanks, David, for your comments in relation to that. I was just listening to your the information you were giving. The screen, actually, I was just reading up a little bit about that. The new watch, it's 70% brighter in indoor areas, and I was just actually considering when you said, David, about the iPhones having a little bit more battery life. In fact, backing up what you said, David, there is no extra battery life on the new watches whatsoever. And when you consider then they're talking about screens being 70% brighter indoors, you mentioned yourself when you compared Bluetooth with Daniel, the more significant battery demands would be coming from a brighter screen. So I would say that would arguably reduce dramatically the life of the phone before you have to charge it again. But they do say the new watch, you can charge it 33% faster than the Series 6. And then in relation to the screen, I suppose back up again what David said and add that that amounted to, so those case sizes that we got on the previous watches were 40 and 44. They moved to 41 and 45. It actually amounts to 20%, believe it or not, more screen area than the Series 6, which sounds like an enormous amount given the slight difference. But what they've done is they've just kind of blended, again, as David indicated, they've blended that screen right into the edge, and they're using all of that screen space. It actually, again, when you're talking about text, that's 50% more text on the screen. But I do say there's very little change with the phone. It's just that really the visual change. So I would second that in relation to the hardware contained within. There isn't a change, but I suppose giving them credit, they are gone all green friendly. They now say that the Apple Watch Series 7 has 100% recycled rare earth elements. So everything they put into it can be recycled, which, given, I suppose, the global shortage that we're hearing about in computer chips, and we're now at crisis point with that, that's, I suppose, a very positive move in relation to what the components that they're putting into this new watch. So yeah, there's much the same, I would say, very little difference. They've given that extra screen space, although you wouldn't notice it, it's just really making better use. They've also, I suppose, from the point of view of workouts, there is something new there on the workouts. There's a new feature, I think, that really does bring that up to your Garmin's, these watches that are built for fitness and exercise. So they've added this new feature, for example, on a bike ride, where you can you're going to take a bike ride and it'll tell you if you've stopped, the watch will pause. So it really has upped the ante in relation to the fitness on that watch.
Excellent,
Yeah,
excellent. I like that actually about the bike rides. It wouldn't be into the bicycles from a fitness point of view, just more of a leisurely stroll around the countryside. But if you were to stop off and take in the sights or whatever, even taking a pint of beer, it'll stop for you.
Yeah, I like that as well, Daniel. It was something I was, and in fact, I've spoken to a number of people, and as insignificant as it may seem to some people, for anyone that does or does any of that cycling, it's quite significant, when they stop, that the actual watch stops with you, so it picks that up.
I hope they add it for running at some point too.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so I suppose they're looking around at the likes of Garmin and all these other ones and seeing what they can bring in under the hood on their own watch. I suppose, which is great. It keeps the competition going, drives the innovation in these developments and features, which is a good thing to hear. So so the watch anyway.
Font sizes as well, Daniel, and that I suppose I should mention. So they have brought in, there are two different font sizes, and then if you think about the old watches, when you're moving on to the new watch, all those wrist straps that you may have used on the old watches, you can actually put them onto the new ones as well, so they don't go to waste. If you do have a batch of different wrist straps to go with your mood or the day of the week, they will work on as well.
Yeah, and I'd say the bigger screen, I mean, for low vision people, obviously it could be beneficial. You can get bigger writing on there, that kind of thing. And even for totally blind users who are using, you can have bigger touch targets. I think you can have an extra large complication on some of the faces. So there are benefits for, this community as well, in terms of having the bigger screen, I think.
Daniel, can I come in there?
Yeah, absolutely, Joe.
How's it going? It's Joe here. And haven't they got a new typing mode as well? It's I think you used to have to input text with dictate a lot and stuff, but haven't they brought in their new style typing mode?
As I said on the Apple Vis podcast a few weeks ago, I wonder are the people of FlickType listening?
I don't know. I didn't know whether to bring that up or not, but that was controversial. There's still a lot of social media news about that one. The man from FlickType is he said to Apple, "I'll see you in court." But yeah, this new keyboard they have on it is similar to the FlickType one that they used to have on, whereas you kind of use it like a QWERTY keyboard, don't you? And it predicts
quite
what
forgiving, I guess.
It predicts what word you're going to text. It's like magic, I suppose. But so there's a new keyboard on it as well. I forget what they call the keyboard now. It won't come to.
Is it Quick Path, or am I confusing that with the
Quick Path or something? Yeah, I think you're right.
There's Quick Path on the phone, which is kind of where you slide around instead of tapping, but I'm not sure if it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's similar to that anyway. Yeah, so that's another, and there's also on the screen. It's supposed to be a lot stronger, not because it's stronger glass. So if you fall off your bike or you fall running, it's supposed to be able to take a fall. It's due to the new design. I think it's kind of a curved glass or something like that. So when it hits the ground, it doesn't break as easily as the older watches. That's another bonus.
Yeah, because it is. I suppose it's something that's overlooked. if you are maybe using these things on your bike as Dennis does, you know, and if you do unfortunately come off it, like, you know, you have an expensive piece of equipment tied around your wrists, the last thing you want is that gone down as well as your two knees.
I don't like the sound of your bike travels, Daniel. If you're going for a pint on the bike, I wouldn't like to come across you or be in front of you on your way home.
Don't jump on a tangent with Daniel.
Might be a chance you'd fall with your new Apple Watch.
Hasn't been known to happen yet.
Yeah.
So okay, guys, thanks very much. I suppose that's you know, a good finishing point on the Apple California streaming event, and I suppose what we'll do is we'll move over to the next part of the discussion, the iOS 15 release, and I suppose it does tie back to you know, our Apple products earlier. So no sooner has the hardware come out, the software comes along as well, and existing iPhone users from the 6S upwards have been treated to the new iOS 15, but it does come with a little bit of a warning for the older phone users, because not all features are coming to your iOS 15 if you're not on, I think it's the iPhone X or higher. Would it be right in saying that, David?
Some of the features, yeah. Is it X or SS? I think it's X.
Yeah. So they have released the iOS 15, but for older phone users, just some of the features are not going to be included on the older iPhones, whereas they are included on the newer iPhones.
Daniel,
I think
that goes back to your discussion you were having earlier about whether it's worth your while upgrading or not. So maybe if you're on an iPhone 8, it might be worth your while upgrading, because some of the features aren't available on the 8. For example, the live text feature and the offline Siri feature, they won't be available on anything below the SE, as far as I know. Okay,
yeah. So I think there is a list of available on the internet there that have summarized, you know, what features are not going to be on different types of phones. So you are dead right in saying with the live text, which I think is an exciting new feature. That is not going to be available on certain models. I think it's all the way up to the iPhone X, and from the iPhone X upwards, you will be able to get the live text. There's other features.
It does work on the SE. I've tested it on the SE. It definitely does work on the SE. It doesn't.
2020.
Yeah, 2020. SE 2020. Sorry, SE 2020, and it doesn't work on the 8. So I checked that earlier.
Right. So you've road tested it. How did you find the live text, Joe?
Yeah, it is excellent. The text, I pointed at the computer screen and detected a group of text from earlier on, and there's a detect text button. That's a difficult one to say. Detect text button on the right hand side. So yeah, VoiceOver announces that. You can double tap on that button and you get different options. You can copy the text, you can share it, you can actually translate the text. That could be a very, very useful one. So you get a little share sheet basically to do stuff with the text, which is really good. Like, so I found it, and it works. The fact that it works offline, as well, when you don't have an internet connection, that's really good. It brings that part of it ahead of some other OCR apps, like, you know.
And
like
even if you like scan a phone number or put like a business card input, but it's a phone number or an email address, it can actually turn that into a link that you can actually select. Like, it's
that's excellent. That's brilliant. That's actually a brilliant feature as well. Yeah. So an email address or phone number, and you can directly call somebody from the camera app then. So it's a business card or whatever.
Yeah. Brilliant. Tell me, Joe, from your experience then and trying it out, like, is it quick? Is it seamless? Does it feel fluid, or is there still a little bit of work Apple could bring to this? Is there room for improvement?
Well, I haven't been trying for long. Obviously, it's only a couple of weeks, but the few times I did try it, it has been very quick. Yeah, I found it very quick. Once the text, that button pops up, and I haven't. Definitely wasn't slow anyway, and I was very accurate for the piece of text I tried it on. So I'd say they probably could improve. Possibly, they might have find ways to make it easier for voiceover users to locate the detect text button or something like that. But in general, I found it really easy to use in general. And
that's what I found a little bit clunky was actually, when there was text in front, is actually getting where's that button now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For anyone, I suppose, a tip, if you can judge where the middle of the phone is and it's in the right hand side middle, or the right hand near enough to the edge but not quite at the edge, so the right hand side, if you're that type of voiceover user that moves your finger around the screen, it's right hand. They say on the description it's the bottom right, but if you're looking for the voiceover, I found it was always in the middle right of the screen.
Excellent. So that's a handy tip there for.
Because it's a small enough kind of it seems to be a small enough button. I'm not sure what it visually looks like, but it seems a small enough button if you're fine with voiceover.
Yeah, so the landing zone for your finger is quite. It needs to be quite precise in locating it.
Yeah, if you're an experienced voiceover user, you'll always find it. Like you will eventually find it. But you look, as you said, the landing zone isn't very big, so you will find it. Yeah.
Probably depends what you're doing. Like I still find sometimes I just use the Seeing AI short text. Now it doesn't have the feature where you can actually find that text and edit it or turn it into links or any of that fancy stuff. It's just if you want to quickly read what's the address on the front of this letter or something, I still find short text on Seeing AI quicker and easier to use than this, for example. But
and do you have that short text built into Siri where you can go, hey Siri, recognize short text?
I haven't actually. I probably should, but I haven't.
Yeah.
Siri annoys me too much.
It can be quick though for for people who are maybe moderate to heavy users of Seeing AI, and if unfortunately the live text is not coming to their iPhone, that they can go into the Seeing AI app and configure these Siri shortcuts. It's just a matter of switching them on and asking Siri to recognize a document or recognize short text or recognize currency, stuff like that. That all can be done from Siri. So I suppose that is a little bit of compensation for the older iPhone users who are not going to get this live text.
Yeah, just to mention a bit more about that, you can go into the Seeing AI app, click settings, click Siri shortcuts, and you can pick from all the channels there, you can pick which channels you want to add to Siri shortcuts. And once you've added them, then say the sentence that you've been given, or you can make up your own sentence, but recognize short text is the default sentence. So you could also set up on recognize currency, whatever. So I mean, they are handy to set up, especially if you have lots of apps on your home screens and you forget whereabouts it was or anything like that. It's just a quick way of opening it up with a Siri shortcut.
Yeah, brilliant, and probably a little bit quicker than asking Siri just to open Seeing AI as you would traditionally maybe ask Siri to open an app for you if it was buried in page 8.
Exactly, and there's all different levels of voiceover users, proficiency wise, so it can just make it even handier again.
Excellent. So that's one of the things that came with iOS 15 for some iPhone users. Don't forget to highlight that. But let's talk maybe Siri in offline mode. How is that faring?
Siri in offline mode, yeah. Again, only available for certain phones, so iPhone SE upwards, as far as I know. So I've tried it, and look, it takes away that frustration we used to have if we were just doing something in the kitchen, for example. You're going to set a timer, and then Siri comes back to you and says, sorry, I can't help you right now.
Yeah.
I'm here 10 minutes later, I'm still going to set my timer, you know what I mean? So at least it'll do those simple tasks when you're offline.
Yeah.
And faster as well.
And faster as well, because it doesn't have to send off the dictation to a server and come back again and do all that kind of stuff. So there's a few different things you can do. You can change control panel settings on your phone, like turn off Wi-Fi or turn on Wi-Fi if you wanted to check it or whatever. Any of them flashlight and all those other control panel settings that you may use. You can control your Apple Music with it also. You could pause and play a track, fast forward, rewind. Only you can't do things like that need an internet connection, like check the weather. Turn on a radio station, that kind of stuff. So it's only for offline stuff.
It's great for opening apps as well. It can very
opening apps. That's the one I forgot.
Yeah,
apps. That's excellent. so that's it's just handy. It's really handy, especially if you have even Hey Siri on. You know what I mean? So so it is handy.
That's brilliant. You know, it definitely is going to bring improvements, I suppose, for service users who mightn't have the best of Wi-Fi in the home. You know, sometimes you want to bring up Siri and the Wi-Fi is down again, or the signal is weak, or whatever. And maybe same for 4G reception, or if you're looking up 5G reception, you know, it mightn't be up to where it should be. Could be bad weather outside affecting it, and be able to do some features now with Siri in an offline mode is definitely a good thing. The voiceover got a bit of a jolt as well in iOS 15. We have extra features and ambient sounds. Maybe David, if you give us a bit of insight into those.
Yeah, VoiceOver. Yeah, I do like that they keep kind of adding bits and pieces to VoiceOver every year, which I think is great. So one of the big ones that I think is really good is Quick Settings, it's called. And what it allows you to do is, instead of having, you know, all those things in your rotors, you maybe already have characters, words, paragraphs, all that kind of headings and links, all that kind of navigational stuff. But you also have speech rate and volume and all sorts of different options in your rotor, typing style, all these things. If you want, you can actually put a lot of those now into this Quick Settings panel instead. By default, you quadruple tap with two fingers, so that's 2 finger 4 times, and it'll bring up, but I've actually changed it to something else, because remember, you can customize your gestures. And that will bring up in more of a list format. It just pops up a window and has all these different settings in there, and you can just very quickly, you know, change things from that instead. Like the rotor, you can choose in VoiceOver Settings what's in that list. So if you go to VoiceOver Settings and find Quick Settings, you can actually reorder them, and you can choose which options you want to have in that panel and which you don't. So what I personally have done is I've taken anything that's not navigational. So the rotor has to be still used for like your words and characters and links and headings, but all those other types of settings I've put into this quick panel, and that means I can get to them easily when I need them, the odd time I need them, but my rotor is much less cluttered now. Yeah,
things like which can often, I suppose, be accidentally hit, as like speaking rate and things like that. Maybe if that was brought out there, if you know that you like your speaking rate maybe at 40%, 50%, or 80%, whichever, you can kind of set that, move it off the rotor and put something else in its place.
Yeah, or just leave it nice and less cluttered, basically.
Yeah.
And
something more important in its place.
Yeah, I think that's the main objective of it, is to have your rotor less cluttered. The rotor was put there to make things more efficient. So when you put a lot of things in the rotor, it just slows you down rather than makes you more efficient, because you have to do a lot of twisting before you get to what you want. So I think having this VoiceOver Quick Settings menu was a good introduction, and as David said, it's great to see them making little improvements and changes to VoiceOver all the time. Like, so a couple of updates ago, they added you could change your own gestures, like, you know what I mean? So all them little things are very helpful.
Yeah, they've also done a nice thing with the rotor, which I haven't seen mentioned in many places, but it's actually a very small thing. If you now do, say, you twist around to say you have speech rate, for example, in your rotor, when you go to speech rate, it'll say speech rate 60 or something. So it actually tells you what the current setting is, whereas you used to have to go to that and then swipe up or down to find out what it is now. It's a tiny little upgrade, but it actually is really useful.
No, that is actually excellent, because I've had a couple of service users come on to me, and you know, their speech rate has gone way out of whack, and they want to be able to get it back. You know, and I go to speaking rate, but I don't know what it is, and now it announces the rate it's currently set to. You know, that's an excellent feature. So, yeah, very, very good to see that coming in. Anything else on the iOS 15 maybe that we didn't cover here, but it's definitely worth pointing out and
the couple, one would be focus mode, which we can talk about, which isn't about VoiceOver specifically, and then there's also this new group navigation, which will probably confuse people, to be perfectly honest, and I don't know how popular it's going to be. But if you use a Mac, anyone who uses a Mac will kind of know the concept of you go to a window and then you interact with it, or you go to a panel and then you interact with it, and then when you're done with it, you uninteract and you move on. It's kind of bringing that to this. So instead of you tap, say, in the toolbar at the bottom of your email app, instead of just saying what the items are, it'll just say toolbar. And if you want to know what's in there, you swipe right with 2 fingers and it'll go in. to the
Right.
toolbar. When you want to leave the toolbar, you swipe left with 2 fingers again and move on. I don't know how popular it's going to be on a touchscreen device like this on the iPhone. You don't have, it's off by default. You don't have to use it, but it's just, it's called navigation style, and you can set it to either flat, which is what you're used to, or grouped, which is the new one. But it's something to maybe have a look at. You might find it useful in some places. And again, you can have it in the rotor or in your quick settings menu if you want to have it on or off at in different places.
Ambient sounds on VoiceOver. The ambient sounds are included now in VoiceOver. Have you explored those?
I personally haven't.
I have looked at them, but I haven't seen they might be useful for myself yet. I've played around with them. They have rain, ocean, stream, that kind of thing, you know. You play background music or background sounds to keep you focused. I say it might be useful for people that have maybe tinnitus or other auditory problems, that kind of thing. Keeps them more focused, and it makes them concentrate and stuff a little bit more, and just makes them relax. But yeah, as I play around with it more, maybe I'll find it useful. But yeah, it's there anyway, I suppose. But you can't use it. You can't set it up with Siri like that. But you can push it on your control panel and access it from there if you want to access it quicker. Yeah, the next thing, I suppose, that was big, FaceTime. What about FaceTime, David? Have you used FaceTime since it got an update?
I don't use FaceTime much, partly because it's restricted to Apple devices, so I've tended to use kind of WhatsApp for my calls more. But it does definitely it is actually now available. You can use FaceTime from Android now, or even I think Windows machines. With a link, it's through the browser. But the other thing is, they've got this share play system coming. So you could be watching something on Apple TV Plus, and you use the share play feature so that you're watching it in sync, or you can also share your screen through FaceTime. So if you wanted to show somebody what's, something that's gone wrong or whatever it might be, or show them what's happening in an app or something like that.
That's quite cool, actually. They also have a portrait mode, so you can have FaceTime in portrait.
Which is the blurred effect. Yeah.
And the spatial audio, if you're using your AirPods, I suppose maybe, obviously, if you can't see the screen, it's good to know what direction somebody's voice is coming from on the screen. So, and
there's also the sort of enhanced sound as well. You can kind of isolate people's voices from the background sound, your voice from the background sounds and things like that, they say as well.
Yeah, I think you can also access that from the control panel. So it'll adjust your microphone so to get rid of the background noise. That's quite useful too. So yeah, FaceTime has a fairly big upgrade this time.
Yeah, it is. That could be really. Sorry, go ahead.
They're trying to bring it a bit more into tune with the likes of WhatsApp, who've taken over some of those video call services, and maybe the fact that it was exclusively Apple, they've opened up a little bit more. So hopefully it even gets even easier to access from outside Apple.
Yeah, I think that the way it's going to go is they'll have to eventually bring FaceTime for Android and FaceTime for Windows as a direct, at least Android anyway, as a direct app from the Play Store. Because if I'm right in saying, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but when you invite somebody to a FaceTime call, it's very Zoom, get your link and click on it and join that way.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and you can't start a call from an Android, you can only join one.
Yeah. So a bit to go yet. Do you see it happening? Do you think, in your own personal opinion, David, Joe, maybe, do you think Apple will?
I'd say let's see how this goes. Yeah, it's possible. I mean, there's been talk about what they should do with iMessage as well, because for the same reason, I don't really use Apple's Messages app very much at all. Because if 50-60% of the people you're messaging are on Android, then you're going to use WhatsApp, aren't you? So
you are.
It's an interesting one.
Possibly.
But then what do they get out of it? Because they, especially in America, everybody, Messages is huge and iMessage is huge. So maybe they want to keep it to iPhone, and it could be the same with FaceTime. So who knows?
The fact you can download iTunes on your PC, maybe there might be a FaceTime app that you could download from the Microsoft Store eventually. The kind of way. Maybe that could be the way they might have to go if they want to kind of open this up to to everybody. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. It could be hard, like maybe to sway, you know, like let's say they did go along and said, right, we're going to release an app for Android and that. You know, it's going to be very hard to sway people off your existing powerhouse in WhatsApp and even Viber to a certain extent.
Yeah.
It could be hard to win users over from those platforms, you know. So we'll see. Anyway, there's plenty to come, and watch this space, as I say. You never know what could happen. Any other things on iOS 15 then after the FaceTime app?
Yeah. I think one definitely worth mentioning is for low vision people, they're now per app settings for things like bold text and large font and all those kind of settings, visual settings. It's now not just it's on or it's off. You can actually go in and set them on a per app basis, which is hopefully going to make a big, be very useful to people.
I definitely think that's one of the most useful ones for low vision users, particularly some apps that, you know, don't adopt the native condition of the phone, whether you have dark mode or light mode on. You know, maybe your favorite app and it's just that constant white background and you want to change to black, and you can maybe invert that app for that purpose.
Yeah, exactly. Like for me, like I actually like having the dark mode and the light mode at different times of the day, but like say the journal doesn't change. It's just like, why don't you change? Like, so yeah, that's a good example.
I think, is it the journal news one? Is it, David?
Yeah, it just seems to stay. Well, I think they have their own night setting, but it doesn't.
That's just about to say that. Yeah, I think they have their own night setting that you can switch on there. It's unusual that they didn't just follow the Apple ecosystem, and that they have their own one on it.
Yeah, and what about Magnifier? It's got its own standalone app now.
Yes.
Yeah, which was very strange before, that it was like you used to have to go into a voice or into accessibility settings, turn on Magnifier, and then it would appear in your app drawer. But if you didn't, it wouldn't be there. It was a very strange life it had before, but now it's an actual app.
Yeah, and you keep improving Magnifier, which is great. And I know low vision people that use it to see the bus numbers, the number of the bus that's coming. I read the bus timetable. I read those A boards that are outside cafes, that kind of thing. It's an excellent app. Really on the go kind of an app.
Yeah. I suppose the fact now that it will be out as an app in its own right means that, you know, new people to iPhones, you know, that have that there now from the get-go without, you know, they mightn't have been aware that you had to go in and switch it on accessibilities to get that link before. Now it's just part of, and you know, they'll stumble across it more easy and go into it and take advantage and start using it. Yeah,
I think so. And what about on iPads, even iPads Pro, things with the better camera? I presume the Magnifier app is really useful for someone with low vision on that kind of screen. That kind of, when you have a bigger screen like that, even as a low vision aid, you know, even finding something on the floor or whatever, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
absolutely. Reading little tiny writing that to be on receipts, stuff like that. So I could see how it could come in.
And
really
even when you could talk about finding things and stuff, both the camera app itself and the magnifier, you can kind of tap the screen and it'll actually just it'll describe the scene to you. It'll like say, oh, there's a screen on a wooden table or whatever, and if you're looking for something on the floor, you might help as well, even if as a voiceover user.
Yeah. Going back there to the 12 mini, I don't think the 12 mini, you were saying when we're talking about cameras, it doesn't have the LiDAR feature. Is that right?
No. Neither the 12 mini or the 12 regular, shall we say. It's only the Pro ones, and I'm pretty sure it's the same with the 13. It's only the Pro ones that have LiDAR. LiDAR hasn't been an overwhelming.
Yeah, so the 13 mini doesn't have it then either.
I don't believe so. Don't absolutely quote me on that, but as far as I haven't heard anything to suggest it. LiDAR wasn't mentioned, funnily enough, in the
I noticed that it wasn't mentioned at all.
Yeah, so I wonder what they're doing with LiDAR, or what sort of a future it has. But because we haven't seen much.
I think it has a future, and it probably will have a great future. It's just, I think the development of it isn't going as quick as a lot of people want it to go. I think that's really where we're at with LiDAR. But hopefully we will see some amazing things happening as regards blind and low vision in the next couple of years.
Yeah,
absolutely. I think one more feature as well, as was just while you're in that kind of sphere with LiDAR, is in the Find My app, if you get separated from a particular AirTag, Remember those guys? You know, it'll alert you as well. So come in maybe handy for someone that has lost, you know, house keys or wallets or something like that. If they become separated, it'll start to alert.
And not even if you've lost them, it's actually just a case if I have one in my wallet and I just go out without my wallet, by the time I'm at the end of the driveway kind of thing, I'm getting a message on my phone saying, hey, you left your wallet behind, which is really useful. It's better than getting that message, you know, realizing when you got to the shop, you're trying to pay for the stuff. So
when you get to the shop and you say, oh, damn, why didn't I add my bank card to my phone that I can just tap?
Yeah, true enough. Or, you know, you're out and I have one on my keys, you know what I mean? And again, if I've dropped my keys and not realized it, before I get in that taxi, I'll get a message telling me your keys have been left behind. So yeah,
very good. So I'd say overall, you know, some nice presents under the iOS 15 bonnet and really depending on the model of phone you have, but little bit of improvements for the older models and good bit of improvements for the newer models. Would that be a fair takeaway point, David?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a good kind of solid update. There's a lot of little things. It's one of those kind of features, and then there's kind of the bigger things, you know, like focus mode and things like that as well that people are liking. So yeah, I think it's a good upgrade. Yeah, I think it's worth upgrading personally. There are a few bugs here and there, as there always are, so it's not the worst idea in the world to wait for 15.1.
When you mentioned, sorry David, when you mentioned the wallet there, isn't that one of the bugs at the moment? When using VoiceOver with the wallet, some people have noticed that it won't read your cards or you can't really navigate.
When you kind of double click to bring up your cards, for some people, if they try to swipe to a second card, if they've more than one card loaded, it'll crash. If you try to swipe, if you can explore the screen, you can get around it and stuff. I'm pretty sure it's going to be fixed in 15.1. So if the wallet is very important to you, you might want to hold off
on that one for the moment.
15.1,
There's always one or two little bugs that pop up here and there, but I also noticed there's a lot more haptic feedback as you move your finger along the screen, so which is it's kind of unusual, but that I'm sure will be fixed as well.
That's not a bug. Interestingly enough, that's something they've kind of changed, but you can actually go in, if you go to VoiceOver Settings and go to Audio and then go to Sounds and Haptics, you can change the intensity, but you can also change when that actually occurs. So you can actually switch some of those haptics off if they're bugging you. Basically.
Okay, thanks, David. That's useful to know, but I didn't find that it helped me in any way. So yeah, I will have to turn that one off.
Have a look at applevis.com. Thomas did a podcast there the other day actually about it, about the haptics thing. So have a look for that, because that's been bugging a lot of people actually. Which is great.
Apple Vis is a great resource actually.
It is. And I suppose just as we finish up on iOS 15, it's probably important to highlight to service users, like there's no actual onus on you to go to iOS 15. You know, some people might be concerned about getting the latest security updates and that Apple now have a kind of a two-pronged approach to these updates, that if you do consciously decide to stay in iOS 14 and not make the leap, maybe you want to give iOS 15 time to bed down and iron out those bugs, that you can still stay on iOS 14 and receive the critical security updates that Apple feel are important to you. So you're not kind of, you know, wondering, gosh, if I don't make the leap now to iOS 15 and my phone is going to be less secure or whatever. So
I saw that I have an old iPhone 7, and when I opened that up and went into software update, it offered me iOS 14.8, and then below that it said, or you can go to iOS 15. Which one do you want? So if you're on 14, you can do that, which is good.
Yeah,
I would do go to 14.8 though, because it is a critical security update.
Okay, I was looking at that actually, and I couldn't get to install my own update for the simple reason that my phone is too full. So I have to find some app that's hogging a gig or two somewhere and get rid of it. I'll eventually get around to it. I will. So thanks very much, Joe and David, for bringing us up to speed there on iOS 15. You know, definitely some interesting features that might be worth taking the plunge and upgrading to experience those. So next up, we are moving along, and we've got NVDA 2021.2, a new release out, and I think, Joe, you have road tested this a little bit. Can you tell us what's new?
Yeah, well, on October the 5th, Windows 11 has been launched. So Nvda have got ready and they've tested their product with Windows 11 in the beta versions. So to get ready for the launch of Windows 11, Nvda will be ready and it will work on the new operating system. So that is the main reason it's been brought out, and they're getting everybody ready for it. There's also a few other little things, a few bug fixes, improvements to eSpeak voices, improved Braille support for anybody using those Braille keyboards, that kind of thing. So the main reason is for Windows 11, and if you want to update, you'll have to, if you have Nvda already, so you'd have to go into the Nvda menu by pressing caps lock and N, and then go down to help and check for updates, and then you can update your Nvda and follow the steps. It's very easy, and you might get asked to donate, which wouldn't be a bad idea to help Nvda. So
project going.
keep the project going.
Actually, I've occasionally used Nvda just for testing out a couple of things, and for service users and things like that. And I have noticed that when I start up my current copy of Nvda, it is informing me that Nvda 2021.2 is now available for download. So it might be worth doing that. I suppose, as you say, the main thing is going to be for Windows 11, but there are a couple of bug fixes too.
It fixed an issue with the screen curtain and a couple of other little reading bugs, but one of the main ones was the screen curtain for people that wanted the security having the screen curtain on or off when they're working on their machines or in a busy office or anything like that. That was one of the main fixes on the current build, but they will have all those bugs fixed for the next build as well, and it'll work perfectly with the new operating system. That's the plan. So we'll wait and see on October the 5th, and I presume they'll have another little build. If there's any bugs, they'll provide another little build very quickly.
Yeah, hard to believe Windows 11 is coming so soon, October 5th.
It is, yeah. It's hard to believe it's coming down the road very quick. That's only about a week away. So
a week or so, yeah.
You can check on the Microsoft website if your computer is able for the new operating system, but most machines will be, especially anything bought in the last 3 to 5 years should be okay.
Brilliant. Is there any rumors now? Maybe this is a question. Have you heard of any rumors like last time Windows 7 users were given a limited time to get a free upgrade to Windows 10? Is there anything like for Windows 10 users now to get to Windows 11?
I haven't heard of any rumors as such, but I think, luckily enough, us in the blind and visually impaired community should be okay, because the last time they provided a free link for an accessibility link for us for over 2 years after for the last update. So I think we'll be okay in that regard. Yeah.
Very good.
I won't share it with any sighted friends, don't worry. Yeah.
No problem. Thanks for that. Thanks for that, Joe.
Yeah.
So that's Nvda 2021.2. A couple of bug fixes in there, definitely worth updating. And obviously, if you are considering moving across to Windows 11 when it arrives on our shores next week, you'll be ready for that if you're going to do an in-system upgrade of your Windows. Okay, so next we have, after that, we have JP, one of our regular panelists here, who's going to come on and talk to us about the latest tech news. JP, welcome.
Thank you, Daniel. Thanks very much. So, yeah, a couple of bits of some tech news for this week that I thought would be interesting to share. First is to do with smart speakers. So there is an update that has come to the Amazon Echo smart speaker, currently only in the US, but hopefully over here soon, and it's called adaptive volume. And this is where Alexa, I'll try to say her name sparingly in case everyone's smart speaker goes off. So it'll respond more loudly if it detects it's in a noisy environment. So the idea is that it'll respond more loudly if it detects it's in a noisy room, or quieter if it's in a less noisy room. So maybe there's times it's background noise and you're using your smart speaker. It could be people talking, TV on or dishwasher on, or maybe there's kids running around. So there's times where you want to find yourself, or you find yourself shouting at your Amazon Echo and you can't hear it responding. So what it'll do is it adapts to the background volume noises. And so we can enable this feature. The voice system will effectively adapt its response volume to the background noise it detects. There's two ways you can do it, and by the way, it's off by default. You can enable it by saying her name and then turn on adaptive volume, or by setting it up in the app itself. And if you want to set it up in the app itself, you do as follows. You go into the app on your phone or iPad or whatever device you're using. Tap on More, tap on Next, Settings, and then under Alexa Preferences, we tap Voice Responses, and there you'll see, I currently will see 2 toggles in Ireland, but in the States there'll be 3. Hopefully there'll be this feature coming, say, to models in Europe and Ireland very soon. But currently there's 3 toggles. There's one for brief mode, one for whisper mode, and then there's the new adaptive volume, which we'll hopefully see very soon. Just in case anyone is interested, the brief mode, which I've tried out myself, and it can be useful, it adjusts so that the Amazon Echo smart speaker, so that it speaks less and offers shorter responses or sounds instead of voice responses. And then with whisper mode, with that enabled, it'll respond to your whispered question or request with a whisper level voice. So maybe you don't want to disturb someone else in the room, that kind of thing.
Alexa, don't waken the baby.
Precisely, exactly. It does work quite well. I've tried it before several times, and it's a handy one to use. But yeah, as I say, that feature is not available. Adaptive volume not available in Ireland at the moment, but we will hope that it will be quite soon. The other bit of news I wanted to share, and again, it's going across the waters to the US for a second time. It's to do with McDonald's and making their kiosks accessible for the first time. So probably the most well-known fast food restaurant in the world, McDonald's, is in the process of adding a screen reader and tactile buttons to its self-order kiosks in the US. And the intention here is to provide blind and vision impaired customers with full access to restaurant menus for the first time. Now, it was very recently announced that Vispero, who are the assistive technology provider of brands like such as Feed Scientific, who we all are familiar with because they make Jaws, but they've actually been selected by McDonald's to assist in providing customers with an accessible kiosk experience. And they've called it a Jaws, no surprise, a Jaws kiosk, and so that'll allow blind and low vision users the ability to interact with a self-order kiosk by inserting headphones into a headphone jack that are located on a navigation pad. And then it'll allow the user to navigate the kiosk and read out the content as they move through the application. Just a quick one there. The vice president of Vispero, of corporate business development Vispero, is a guy called Matt Atker, and he has said that the selection of Jaws kiosk, which is the term for the new kiosk, as a solution for McDonald's is a game changer for providing equal access in quick service restaurants for blind and low vision customers. So yeah, it's happening at the States at the moment. They're currently deploying these kiosks, and the plan is that they'll have them available in all company-owned stores and franchise stores in the US in the coming year. So hopefully
that is excellent. That is excellent news.
Yeah, it is. It's very encouraging to see, and hopefully it's technology and an initiative that'll come to Ireland in the near future as well.
Absolutely, and I suppose with looking at where it could else be brought into, maybe if one would feel that if this goes well with McDonald's, like it can be brought across to so many other different places, retail outlets and settings.
Yeah, certainly. So many other opportunities there, I think, where that could be used. Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant. Thanks very much for that, JP.
No worries, Daniel.
Definitely want to look out for. And I suppose the next bit is a little bit of tech help, and we've highlighted before the Microsoft immersive reader that's available on the Microsoft Edge browser. But did you know Google have their own reader mode? Android users might be familiar with the message coming up about easy reader mode for the Chrome browsers that are on the Android settings, but it's also available on your Windows laptop and has been for quite some time. So since Chrome 75 was released, Google have experimented with this reader mode. And I suppose what's left for me to do is explain how you can turn that on. So it is not as simple as it can be, and the reason being, I suppose, is it's still in experimental mode, but we'd hope that Google will bring this as a mainstream option onto their browser, considering it has been there in the background for quite some time at this stage. So if you go to your Google search engine and type in 4 words, Chrome desktop reader mode, and the first thing you will notice is a list of results come up, and there's a paragraph of text above it, and it reads, open a new tab and enter Chrome, / flags enable reader mode. You can actually copy those couple of that string, command string, and paste it into the address bar of a new tab. And when that happens, then you are brought to the Chrome experimental features page, and the first option at the top of that will be the reader mode, and you just have to switch it from disabled to enabled. You get a little message then asking you to relaunch Chrome, and when you do, your browser just opens back up and your reader mode is available. Now, just like the Microsoft Immersive Reader feature, it depends on the websites you're on. So the likes of your news articles, you will get the notification then that reader mode is available. It's a small icon that pops up to the right hand side of the address bar. I think it's color blue if my memory serves me correct, and it's a matter of clicking that or selecting that to enable the reader mode, and it's very, very similar to the Microsoft Immersive Reader. It's also available from the menu. It'll be called Distill This Page. It will be available from the menu either if you want to drop down the 3 dots menu in the very top right after the address bar to turn on that feature. Again, just to highlight, it's for news articles and text-based web pages that reader mode works on. So definitely one to try out. Okay, so that's our tech help, and kind of brings us to the end of today's live event. Just before we go, just to reiterate, our technology support helplines can be reached on 1-800-911-110 or email in labs@ncbi.ie. Or for any other services that you would like to engage with the NCBI for, do drop us a call on 1850 33 43 53 or drop an email to info@ncbi.ie. And if you would like to donate to NCBI services, you can also visit donate.ncbi.ie, where you can make an online donation to our services. And coming up in future live events, we will be covering the Amazon show, and we'll also be taking a look at some of the smart glasses that are out there. Our next live event will take place on Tuesday, October 12th at the usual time of 2:30 p.m. And we look forward to having you with us then for another NCBI Labs live event. Thank you very much.